If you search around for Dark Souls 2 boss cheeses, you won't find a whole lot, so I set out to change that. Like in my Dark Souls 1 video, we will be looking for true cheese, meaning that for a cheese to count, it must either make the boss harmless to you, harmful to itself, or have a very easy means of winning within the mechanics of the fight itself. So just becoming extremely overpowered and one-shotting a boss will not count as cheese. Unlike my Dark Souls 1 video, I will not be covering skips, as there's already a great video by SCKR which does exactly that. Now, let's get into the run. We're going to start this run off as a knight for the maximum amount of health. For your gift, choose the bonfire aesthetic. I started off by taking out the ogre for 1,000 souls and the stone ring. This isn't necessary, so you can skip doing so if you want. What you will want to do is head into Majula to collect the binoculars, the Estus shard, and the homeward bones. Now light the bonfire, speak to the Emerald Herald to get and upgrade the flask, and finally join the Way of the Blue Covenant to receive the health increasing ring. Start heading into the Forest of Fallen Giants and grab the human effigy and homeward bone along the way if you want them. Carry on to pick up the buckler, then grab the next bonfire. Buy a firebomb from Malentia, go upstairs and take out the crystal lizard for a couple shards, then use the firebomb to blow open the wall. Head over to Kale and speak to him to get the mansion key, then bone out. Go down to the ballista room, avoid the trap in the chest, and grab another shard. Knock on the nearby door to have it opened for you, then head inside to grab the life ring and large shard. Use another bone to get back to the bonfire, and from there, head outside and drop down onto the scaffolding. Clear out any enemies in your way, get to full health, then unequip everything except the 2 health increasing rings and jump across. With just enough health to survive the jump, we can grab the fragrant branch of yore. Setup step 1 complete. We're going to put the branch we collected to use immediately to free Rosabeth. Open the gate, grab the shard, and head to the Ruined Fork Road bonfire. From there, go into the foggy part of the woods where we can collect a soul of a proud knight, a soul of a nameless soldier, a large soul of a nameless soldier, and the Chloranthy ring +1. Grab the next bonfire, the bone dust, and the total of 5 brave warrior souls which can be found in this area. Back in Majula, pop all of the souls. Now head into the mansion, grab the lockstone, and some shards and torches upstairs. Take out the skeleton squatting in the basement, grab the Estus shard, and grab the soul vessel if you want it. Head over to Mullen and spend 15,000 souls in his shop to progress his story. Which items you buy don't matter. Return to the bonfire and burn the ascetic. This will put Majula into its new game plus state, which will cause Mullen to sell even more items. Importantly, he'll now sell the game-breaking Moon Butterfly skirt. Things are about to get good. After buying the skirt, spend any remaining souls on dexterity. We'll need to get it to 25 shortly. If you aren't familiar with glitches in Dark Souls 2, you might be wondering what's so game-breaking about the butterfly skirt. Well, it gives us access to 2 important glitches, the first of which we're going to be utilizing right away, and the second which I'll cover a bit later. Head over to the door to Aldia's Keep. Normally you'd need the King's Ring to get inside, but thanks to the skirt, we can perform a glitch called Parry Walk to get inside instead. Parry Walk is performed by jumping and riposting an enemy at the same time while aligned with an enemy in a certain way, usually directly diagonally. The skirt allows you to jump without running, which makes this significantly easier. While in the parry walk state, the game tries to lock you to whatever height you were at when you landed from the jump, and your true position becomes detached from your visual position. We'll talk more about these effects later, but the important part for now is that we can use this to get over the gate to Aldia's Keep. Make your way to the bonfire behind the illusory wall, light your torch at it, then head down the hallway to light the standing torch and summon the Forlorn Invader. Clear her outside, use her to set up parry walk, then go for a jog around the big bird cage. Enjoy the scenic elevator ride, get the aged feather from the Emerald Herald, and grab the next bonfire. Head through the Dragon Zipline theme park, grab the next bonfire, and go straight to the Ancient Dragon to receive the Ashen Mist Heart. Setup step 2 complete. The last thing we need to do is farm some souls. We have two options for this. The first option involves cheesing the Pursuer, repeatedly. We're going to utilize a glitch introduced to me by Plupperino to perform the Pursuer quick kill multiple times. Remember how I said parry walk causes your true position and visual position to desync? This is where that's going to come into play. While in the parry walk state, your true position ignores collision. Your visual position will try to get to your true position, but if there's collision in the way, it can't. If you perform an action that allows your visual position to get to your true position, such as entering a fog gate, the two will resync. We're going to take advantage of that to get in and out of the last giant boss fight. Step 1 is to trigger the boss fight cutscene and quit out. Next, set up parry walk on the nearby enemy and run towards the fog gate. Stop running just before you reach the fog gate to land your true position just inside of it. Walk into the corner and use the binoculars to face your character as far away from the fog gate as possible while still getting the enter message. Then enter. If done correctly, your character will walk back into the fog gate where you can roll the rest of the way out. Boss fight storage achieved. Boss fight storage has a number of interesting effects, but the one we're going to abuse in this case is that it causes flags to not update properly. Rest at the bonfire, then it's time to perform the Pursuer quick kill. To perform it, jump on the raised bricks next to the platform he gets dropped in on. When you get to the ladder, if you jump very late, it's possible to make it across without triggering the Pursuer to drop in. Jump back across the ladder, intentionally hitting the Pursuer's trigger this time, and pop a life gem while moving forward. This is just to help with timing. When the life gem animation finishes, sprint the rest of the way back to the bonfire and rest at it. The Pursuer will get sent back to his non-existent home location and die. You'll get his soul and ring every time, but with very specific timing, it's also possible to get the 17,000 soul reward from him. It's just very inconsistent. Saving and quitting will land you back at the last giant's boss arena, and you can repeat this an infinite amount of times. You can also collect the items on the platform after performing the glitch without permanently stopping the Pursuer from spawning. Option 2 for farming souls is a bit easier. Head outside from the bonfire and set up parry walk on the nearby enemy. Float above the giant tree until parry walk wears off, then grab the bonfire. Now enter the memory of Jay, wait for a wave of the explosives to go off, then sprint through the area and have the head of the statue take out most of the enemies. Afterwards, warp out and repeat. We only need around 15,000 souls right now, so no matter which option you choose, the grind should be quick. When you're done, go to Melentia and buy Leningrass Key, all of her life gems, and a bright bug. Then speak to her to get the covetous Silver Serpent Ring +1. Return to Majula, get a rapier from Leningrad, and upgrade it to +4. If you have extra souls, dump them into Dexterity, then kill Mullen for his soul increasing outfit. Our initial setup is done, let's cheese some bosses. First up is the last giant. To start off, we're going to enter and leave his arena the same way I showed previously for the Pursuer duplication. Take the elevator back to the top, then back down. When you re-enter his arena, his AI will be completely broken, and he'll just stand there and let you smack him to death. Next up is the Pursuer. I already showed you the quick kill method, but there's another option. Enter his arena and stand right up against this barrel. Dodge his attack, then run to the ballista and fire it twice for another quick and easy kill. Now in the Lost Bastille, grab the Dull Ember, the large shard from the ledge, the antiquated key, the large shard from above Lucatiel, and use the barrel to blow up the wall. Loot 2 more large shards from one of the chests, buy 1 more from McDuff, and upgrade the rapier to +6. Return to Majula and get 25 dexterity. Save the rest of the souls, we'll need them shortly. Return to the Shaded Woods and set up Parry Walk on one of the Falconers. Make your way out of bounds and run across the map to skip the Shrine of Winter. Head into Dragonslayer Castle, light the bonfire, and continue down the normal path through the castle. You'll eventually be invaded by the Nameless Usurper. We'll need her alive for later, so enter the twin Dragonriders fog gate to despawn her, then save and quit. After loading back in, head to the Forgotten Chamber bonfire, and from there, drop down to loot the chest for the Hunter's Black Bow. Return to the castle's entrance to get the Bone Dust, then speak to Veliger to buy some lightning arrows. 100 will be more than enough for now. Back in Majula, buy 6 shards from Leningrast and upgrade the bow to +3. Now head to Macduff, buy 6 large shards and upgrade the bow to +6. Finally, we're going to use our new bow to take out the Crystal Lizard in front of Dragonslayer Castle for some chunks and a slab, and upgrade the bow to +8. Back to cheesing bosses. We're going to jump ahead a bit in boss order and take out the Giant Lord next. He's going to serve as an excellent soul farm since there's an ascetic in his arena, and he's one of the easiest bosses to cheese. Let the head of the statue and the explosions take out all of the enemies in the area first. If they don't, just warp out and try again until they do. Once it's clear, stand here and snipe the giant with your bow. That's all there is to this cheese. He'll attempt to attack you once, then give up when he realizes he can't. It'll take a little while to bring him down, but we'll get a ton of souls as a result. Use the souls to get max lightning arrows, then level up your intelligence and faith, making sure to get at least 8 in each. We'll eventually need 25 intelligence and 42 faith. Time for the last major upgrade session. Head to Hyde's Tower of Flame, and parry walk your way up to Lycia. Go through her dialogue so she moves to Majula. Afterwards, we'll need some more souls, so use an ascetic to cheese the Giant Lord again. Head to Malentia to buy Soul Arrow and a branch. Return to Hyde's, grab the Bone Dust, use the branch, and grab the Estus Shard. Continue through No Man's Wharf and speak to Carillion to buy the Clear Bluestone Ring, another Soul Arrow, and Yearn. Now have Lycia move the path, speak to Falcon, and buy a Staff, a Chime, Dark Weapon, and both Resonant Soul spells. The spells aren't strictly necessary, but they'll help at points. Now buy the Silver Cat Ring from Shalquar, and dump the rest of the souls towards getting 25 intelligence and 42 faith. Head into the pit, grab the bonfire, continue down, grab the Bone Dust, and make your way into Blighttown 2. Grab the Estus Shard, then head all the way down to the bottom of the area to grab Dark Fog, the Branch, and the Black Gulch Bonfire. Do another Giant Lord run for some more souls, then finish getting 25 intelligence and 42 faith, along with 20 attunement. Outside of those stats, you can level up however you want from now on. Note that you will need 13 strength if you want to use the Red Iron Twin Blade later. The next boss we're going to cheese is Ornstein. Before we get to him though, I'm going to introduce you to the Attunement Glitch. The Attunement Glitch allows you to transfer the number of casts one spell gets to a different spell. We're going to use this to increase the number of casts of Dark Fog. The method I'm using is PC only, unfortunately. To perform it, have the spell you want already attuned. Then travel somewhere and right-click and left-click with your mouse, then right-click again and left-click on back. Open the attunement menu, select the spell you want to transfer the casts to, and hover over the spell you want to transfer the casts from. Wait for the screen to fade out, it'll go completely black, then pop back in for a few frames. Left-click when it pops back in, and that's it. The spell will inherit the number of casts from the other spell. We won't actually need the extra casts for Ornstein, but we will need the extra casts later, and I figured it's better to introduce it now. That said, make your way to the Cathedral of Blue, clearing out all of the enemies except for one of the Hide Knights. We're going to use the Hide Knight to set up parry walk, and use the same trick we did with the last giant to get in and out of the boss arena. With that done, we can hit Ornstein with Dark Fog through the door, and there's not much he can do about it. After a total of 3 poison procs, his health will drain to 0 while we're sitting safely outside. Next up is the Dragonrider, and we have options. For option 1, just use your bow to snipe him from outside of his arena. He'll turn towards you when his health is drained, and from there you can run in his arena and hit him with just about anything to finish him off. If that's not your style, you can do the same thing with melee by parry walking into his arena. When he starts blocking, run to the fog gate to touch the trigger and finish him off. Neither of those doing it for you? Well, instead you can just enter his arena without raising the outer rings, count him moving 7 steps, then run around his left to have him instantly lunge off the edge. Next up, we have the Flexile Sentry. Clear out all of the enemies on the ship except for one, which we'll use for parry walk. Pretty much any enemy will work, but I went with the big mummy. Clear the enemy downstairs, set up parry walk, and we're again going to get in and out of the boss room. The setup for this fog gate is a little different from the others because the gate is so small. We want to look sideways and get glitchily bounced in and out of the room. With the fight triggered, the sentry is subject to the same dark fog cheese we used on Ornstein. If you can't see his arm sticking through the wall to find where he is, his reflection also shows in the water. Three poison procs will finish him off, and another boss will be added to our cheese tally. Our next boss is the Ruined Sentinels. Their fog gate is high up, so triggering the fight and using dark fog at the entrance won't work. We'll need to come up with a different solution for this fight. Remember how I mentioned there was another glitch with the butterfly skirt? Introducing Moon Jump. On the PC version of the game, there's an auto sprint feature. If you turn it on, you can sprint even while menus are open. Using this, if we equip the skirt and immediately jump, we'll get the normal jump height, but with the floatiness of the butterfly jump. This lets us jump much farther than normal and reach the platform across from the entrance one. From there, jump across to the other platform, normally this time, and head down to the exit fog gate. Once there, the dark fog cheese works just like on the previous bosses. Another boss down, a lot more to go. Take out the basement pursuer, place the lockstone, and head into Belfry Luna. Ring the bell, and it's gargoyle time. We're going to put Moonjump to use again to get to this building that's placed conveniently across from the Gargoyles arena. From here we can snipe the gargoyles with our bow, and there's nothing they can do about it. Continue through the Lost Bastille, grabbing the Bastille Key and the Estus Shard. Then it's off to Sinner's Rise and to the Lost Sinner. The first time around, we only want to trigger her cutscene. The second time around, we're going to want to bring this Hide Knight with us. Be careful with him as he doesn't respawn. Clear him over to the fog gate and set up parry walk. Get in and out of the room, and the old reliable dark fog cheese works again. It'll take 4 poison procs to take her down, and we'll have our first great soul. Grab the branch on the way to the primal bonfire, and we're off to the next boss. Now in Huntsman's Copse, grab the bone dust, grab the key to the lockaway, despawn Rowena, grab the Estus shard, open the shortcut, and light the lockaway bonfire. From there, it's time to take on the Executioner's Chariot. When you enter, immediately run over and take out the first Necromancer. Now run back to the first nook on the left side of the entrance. Wait for the chariot to pass and take out the skeletons. The hard part of the fight is over. Now we can just sit in the nook and use our bow to shoot the chariot as it passes. Aim to the left of the black square you can see, and shoot when you see the light from the chariot. Once the chariot gets low on health, it can no longer make it over the gap at the other end of the arena. You'll hear it crash, and the horse will be clinging on the edge for dear life. Run around the arena, give the horse a smack, and we've won. Now for the Skeleton Lords. Take the shortcut to their arena and lure one of the skeletons to come with you. Set up parry walk on your skeleton friend and get in and out of the arena. Now you've had parry walk, but what about second parry walk? Entering a boss arena despawns all of the normal enemies in that area, but it doesn't stop invaders from showing up. So we're going to use Rowena to parry walk again. With parry walk active, we can make our way out of bounds and on top of the Skeleton Lord's arena. The lords will try to get directly under you, but you can get them stuck on the pillars and use your bow to take them out. The smaller skeletons that spawn in after you take out the lords are a bit more annoying. You'll want to kite them back and forth across the arena and try to take them out as they run towards you. Sometimes the skeletons will become confused and start dancing around. You can take advantage of this to snipe them, though it's still kinda hard. It may take a while, but you will eventually be able to take down all of the skeletons, being completely safe while doing so. Next up is the pinwheel of Dark Souls 2, the Covetous Demon. Leer over the mannequin, set up parry walk, and do the standard arena exit. The Dark Fog cheese works here as well, though the demon is quite resistant to poison, so it takes quite a few casts. Some of you might be wondering about the cheese where you break the jars with the hollows in them to distract him, but that requires a great bow, and it's not nearly as safe as this. Plus, you don't get this glorious death animation. Mytha is our next target, and she's immune to poison. We're going to need to get a bit more creative. From the bonfire above Mytha's arena, clear out all of the enemies except for one of the Grave Wardens, leading back to Devotee Scarlet's summon sign. Summon in Scarlet, wait for her to emote, then it's time to race back to Mytha's arena. Summon signs do work after performing the Fog Gate glitch, but because you already entered the Fog Gate, NPCs also want to enter the Fog Gate immediately. The trouble is, they can't figure out how to get there if there's no direct path, so we have to do things this way. Rush back and set up Parry Walk on the Grave Warden before Scarlet comes in and kills him. Then summon in Jester Thomas and perform the Fog Gate exit. With this done, the two NPCs will head inside and take out Mytha for you, while you wait safely outside. Next up is the Smelter Demon, and he's going to be pretty standard. Get rid of all of the enemies except one, Parry Walk, and Fog Gate exit. From there, it's another Dark Fog cheese. Carry on through Iron Keep, and it's time for my favorite cheese. Clear out the turtles near the bonfire, and start luring this Alonne Knight through the area. He'll willingly follow you out to this roof-looking section, but doesn't like going any further. Through a mixture of blocking and shoving him, it's possible to get him down to the path leading to the old Iron King. He'll be very confused at first, but with some convincing, he'll start chasing you again. Use him to parry walk and enter and exit the boss arena. From there, if you run back onto the roof, you can snipe the king with your bow while out of range of his attacks. But that's not why this is my favorite cheese. Instead of running onto the roof, you can wait over here for the king to dive under the lava. When he pops back up, he'll try to get to you, but with very poor results. He'll just keep backing up, and backing up, and backing up. He eventually backs up so far that he touches a kill plane and dies. A true warrior's death, really. Our next target is Najka. Grab the Titanite chunk along the way to her. As for cheesing Najka, no complicated glitches required. Enter her arena, bait out her tail slam attack, and while her tail is down, climb on her back. That's all there is to it. Her AI won't know how to handle you being on her back, and she'll just stand there and let you kill her. I don't know if this was an intended mechanic or not, but it's pretty funny regardless. The next boss is the Royal Rat Authority, and unfortunately I couldn't find true cheese for this boss. I did, however, find minor cheese, which makes it a bit easier. First, set up parry walk on the nearby germ. Afterwards, enter and exit the boss arena. This will count as storing a boss fight, but the boss doesn't actually trigger until a second trigger further in the room is touched, or one of the small rats is attacked. If we rest at the bonfire, then re-enter the boss room, the effects of boss fight storage will cause the fight to fail to start properly. If you're wondering, you can't hurt the boss in this state. Most bosses can't be damaged unless the fight starts properly. We can, however, take out the small rats in the room. Because of the glitchy state we're in, taking them out, then warping out, will cause them to permanently despawn. You can then re-enter the boss room to fight the boss normally, but without having to deal with the small rats. Not the best cheese, but at least it's something. Next up is the Prowling Magus. We're going to need to do a little bit of setup beforehand. Head to Black Gulch and take out the giants to get the Forgotten Key. Open the door and speak to Grandal. Next, open the door that leads underneath Dragonslayer Castle and speak to Grandal down there. Finally, drop down the hole in the Shaded Woods and speak to Grandal one more time. He'll now sell us stuff. Buy Profound Still. Use the attunement glitch on Profound Still, and have Yearn attuned as well. Head into the boss fight, cast Profound Still, then cast Yearn. With these two spells active, none of the enemies will be able to attack you. Take out the mages, then recast the spells, focusing on the priest next. If you time everything properly, unlike me, it's possible to complete the fight without the enemies ever being able to attack you. Regardless, the small bit of danger this fight once had will be made even more minuscule with these two spells. For Freja, light your torch, light the next bonfire, grab the chunk, take out Guthrie, and trigger her cutscene. Now to cheese her, start heading towards her arena from the bonfire again. Summon Bashful Ray and Manhunter O'Hara along the way. Rush down to Freya's Fog Gate and use the rapier to parry walk on one of the enemies since we can't use the buckler with the torch out. Enter and exit the boss fight like normal. Now summon Ashen Knight Boyd. Since his summon sign is close to the Fog Gate, he won't have any problems finding his way in. We'll want to position ourselves off of the ground level, as Freya's beam attack can still hit you otherwise. Outside of that, we can sit back and relax while the NPCs take out Freja for us. Another victory well earned. Get the branch from the Duke on the way out. The Royal Rat Vanguard is next, and it's going to be a fairly standard cheese. Use Dora the Explorer to parry walk. Enter and exit the Fog Gate. Use Dark Fog on the rats to make them headbang. And eventually the Vanguard will come out and be taken out by Dark Fog. On to the Rotten. We'll want to recruit Lucatiel for this one, so speak to her in the Lost Bastille, and again in Black Gulch. Use the branch so we can access the second bonfire, and trigger the Rotten's cutscene. Set up parry walk on whichever woodland child invades you, and enter and exit the Fog Gate. You can now use Dark Fog to poison the Rotten. The problem is, he's smarter than the other bosses and actually backs away from the Fog Gate when he realizes he can't get to you. So we'll need some help. Destroy all of the poison statues leading from the fog gate back to the summon signs. This is both to prevent the summons from being poisoned, as well as to stop Lucatiel's AI from breaking. When you're done, summon the 2 NPCs on the main path, then run back to the second bonfire to summon Lucatiel. Stay behind her and make sure she drops down. Her AI is really finicky here. With all of the NPCs inside, you can try to help them with Dark Fog. They'll sometimes keep the Rotten close enough that you can poison him again. This cheese doesn't have a 100% success rate, sometimes the summons will just die. They should succeed within a few tries though. If, like me, you forgot to grab the Estus Shard from Brightstone Cove, go grab it now. Following the normal boss order, the Darklurker would be next. But there's no real cheese for him. You can crank up your magic resistance and try to tank through the damage, but that's about it. So we'll be moving on to the next boss fight, the Twin Dragonriders. Start making your way backwards from the Forgotten Chamber bonfire, so the Nameless Usurper invades you. Lure her over to the area in front of Nashandra, and use her to parry walk. Enter and exit the fog gate. And all reliable Dark Fog cheese works on the first Dragonrider. The second Dragonrider won't actually come down off of his platform without somebody in the arena. Fortunately, Pilgrim Belclair's summon sign is right next to us, and she'll finish the fight for us. If the Dragonrider comes close, you can also poison him with Dark Fog, but it's not necessary. Belclair will win the fight regardless. Proceed through the rest of Drangleic Castle, grabbing Kytha's Chime and the Estus Shard along the way. When you're done, it's time for the Looking Glass Knight. Clear out all of the stone knights except one, set up parry walk, and enter and exit the fog gate. Dark Fog cheese strikes again. You'll want to stand fairly far back to be out of range of his lightning attacks. Time to proceed through everyone's favorite area in Dark Souls 2. Grab the final Estus Shard, take out Kindler, and grab the Red Iron Twin Blade. Time for the fun part. We need an enemy to parry walk on to get in and out of the Demon of Song's boss room, but there aren't any close by. The solution? Bring an Amana Priestess with us. Yes, it is completely possible to shove a Priestess all the way over to the fog gate so we can use her to parry walk. The nice thing is, she won't try to move back either, so once she's there, she'll stay there. Set up parry walk on the Priestess, and get in and out of the fog gate. Can you guess which cheese we'll be using here? If you guessed the Dark Fog cheese, you're correct. Despite the frog suit, Dark Fog still works just fine here. Note that his water attack can hit you if you stand in the center of the room, so you may want to stand off to the side. Velstadt is the next boss on our list. Make sure you've gone through Agdane's dialogue so his summon sign shows up, and take out the Dragonrider in front of the fog gate. You'll then want to run back to Scarlet's summon sign and summon her, take out the bell ringing hollows, set up parry walk on one of the knights, enter and exit the fog gate, and summon Agdane. Like with the Rotten, we can assist the NPCs with Dark Fog if they keep Velstadt close enough to the entrance. Also like the Rotten, the summons sometimes just die. Unlike with the Rotten, Velstadt will occasionally try to attack you through the fog gate if you stand right up against it. Using these factors, you should be able to win. Before taking on Vendrick, we'll want to grab the Giant Soul from the memory of Valmar, and the Giant Soul from the memory of Oro. Chloanne will also now sell all of the materials required to upgrade the Red Iron Twin Blade to +10, and put a Lightning Infusion on it. Go over to Macduff to infuse the Twin Blade, and we're off to Vendrick. Now you can attack Vendrick to get a Fog Gate to spawn in his arena, but there are no enemies close enough to use to parry walk in and out. Even if you could, he's immune to poison, so no Dark Fog cheese. But remember how I said most bosses can't be hit unless their boss fight starts properly? Vendrick is one of those exceptions. Burn an Ascetic at the Forest of Fallen Giants, then store the last Giant's boss fight. Now I hope you like long walks. We'll want to preserve the stored boss fight all the way back to Vendrick. That means no warping, saving and quitting, or dying. Yep, we'll need to walk all the way back to the Undead Crypt. Head through the Forest of Fallen Giants, Majula, the Shaded Woods, Dragonslayer Castle, King's Passage, the Shrine of Amana, and finally back to the crypt. Enter Vendrick's arena, and we'll be greeted with victory achieved immediately. That isn't quite true, we do actually still have to kill him, but it might as well be because he'll not fight back at all. So just freely smack Vendrick as he wanders aimlessly around the arena. It takes a while, but he will go down. Just as the fight didn't start properly, it also won't end properly, so save and quit. Re-enter the Fog Gate when you load back in, and you'll be given the souls from the fight. Time for the Guardian Dragon. Use the Forlorn to parry walk. Enter and exit the Fog Gate. And Dark Fog cheese. You'll want to stay fairly far back for this fight to stop the dragon from breathing fire. Other than that, it's the same as normal. The Ancient Dragon is susceptible to the same cheese as Vendrick. Before attacking him, you'll want to run to the back of his arena to get the enemies to go away. Then snipe the 3 enemies by the entrance to his arena with your bow so they don't gank you when you load back in. When they're dealt with, attack the dragon. Just like Vendrick, he won't fight back. You'll again need to save and quit, and then re-enter the Fog Gate to get the souls. We're on to the last few bosses of the base game. First up, we have the Throne Watcher and Defender. There's of course the classic cheese where you get them to fall off the ledge, but it's kinda hard to get the defender to fall off. So alternatively, you can just moon jump up to the throne. From there, you can use Dark Fog, your bow, or a combination of both to take them out safely. The Watcher does have a magic attack, but if you back up a bit, she won't use it. Now for Nashandra, there's of course the cheese where you use a throwable with both specific positioning and timing, and it breaks her AI when she spawns in. The problem with that is that it's pretty hard to pull off without a lot of practice, and you only get one chance to do it right after you beat the Throne Duo. So instead, we can just moon jump. Just like with the Throne Duo, we can use Dark Fog and our bow to take her out, and if we stand back a bit, we're completely safe. Finally, there's Aldia. For him, we'll want to summon the 3 nearby NPCs. Just like with the other bosses, we can moon jump to safety. Once over here, he'll mainly focus on the NPCs, and we can snipe him with our bow. He does have a couple attacks that can still target you, but you can hide behind the door of the throne to avoid them. And that's the last of the base game bosses. On to the DLCs. We're going to start off with the Sunken King DLC. I sure do hope there isn't a glitch that lets us skip the whole thing. Off to the Gank Squad. Run close enough to Sarah that he brings out his S-Stock, then run behind these rocks. If he pulls his bow back out, try again. You'll eventually be able to get him to stay close by and keep the S-Stock out. When he does, you've won! None of the enemies will be able to hit you here, and you can use Dark Fog or your bow to take them out safely. Make your way through the rest of the DLC. Next up is Elana. Sadly, I couldn't find any cheese for her. Your best bet is to just use the Twin Blade with Dark Weapon for the crazy DPS. You can also pop a Bright Bug if you want to deal even more damage, but I didn't in this case. Immediately after Elana, there's Sinh. Again, I unfortunately couldn't find any cheese. Fortunately, the Twin Blade is quite effective here as well. DLC 1 wasn't great for cheese. Let's see if DLC 2 will be better. I sure hope I get to experience the whole DLC this time. We'll be heading straight to the Fume Knight as our first boss. Sadly, I couldn't find any cheese for the Fume Knight. We'll just have to fight him normally. I opted to use the rapier for this fight since its speed and stamina usage are better suited than the twin blade here. We'll now want to head towards the blue Smelter Demon. This demon is going to take a bit more setup than his red brother. We'll want to take the lizard statue path down the first section. Take out the astrologist, then continue down to this area. Here we'll want to take out all of the enemies except the axe dual wielding enemy near the drop-off. We'll instead want to knock him down to the lower level, then use Moonjump to get back up on the ledge we dropped off from. Drop off to the next section, then take out all of the enemies in this area, except for the one we pushed down here. Use the enemy to parry walk, and enter and exit the fog gate. Just like his red brother, the blue demon is susceptible to the dark fog cheese, so that's what we're going to use. Start heading over to Sir Alonne. Enter the memory, and make your way to the boss fight. Run over to the exit fog gate, wait for him to go over to you, then quickly run around and against the opposite side of this pillar. His AI will just stop working. You'll want to carefully peek out with your bow, just enough to be able to hit his torso. Once you've got him like that, you're good. He can sometimes randomly decide to do a jump attack, but if you quickly dodge the attack and get back in position, his AI will remain broken. DLC 2 was a bit better than DLC 1 for cheese. Let's see how we do with number 3. We're going to start off by using a nearby enemy to parry walk past Aava. From there, have Elana defrost everything, and we can get started. Now we can actually cheese our way through the entire main section of the DLC. Parry walk on this enemy down here this time, and use Aava's fog gate for boss fight storage. You can now enjoy a peaceful walk through the DLC without having to deal with any normal enemies. Invaders will still show up, but that's all you have to deal with. You can't recruit the knights with a boss fight stored, as they won't be there. You can, however, open up all of the shortcuts to make getting back to them quick and easy. Just make sure to warp when you're done, not save and quit. If you save and quit, the game won't properly update the flags and you'll need to do it all over again. When you're done, it's time to fight Aava. The first step is entering and exiting her arena with parry walk. Now the trouble is that there's a second trigger farther into her arena that we need to touch to actually start the boss fight. To touch the second trigger, we'll need to run around the entire map to get invaded by Holy Knight Ornstein so we can use him to parry walk. Leer him down, set up parry walk on him, then run next to Aava's arena to touch the trigger and land on the stairs beyond it. Conveniently, this also despawns Ornstein. Walk around to the fog gate again, go inside, and Aava will be stuck behind one of the statues. You can now safely snipe her with your bow. Next up, we have the Burnt Ivory King. On the original version of the game, there was a known cheese where you could insta-kill him by having him be trapped in the ice created by your knight friends. The cheese was known to be patched in Scholar, but I couldn't find anything on whether it worked on current patch of the original game or not. So I re-downloaded the original Dark Souls 2 and got to testing. It took a few tries, but I finally got him in a good spot when the portal was being frozen, and nope, he just gets pushed out. So no cheese on current patch for either version of Dark Souls 2, unfortunately. There's one boss fight left. To get to it, first we have to go through Horse Love Valley. When you get out of the coffin, start heading straight to your character's left. Once the blizzard clears for a few seconds, you should be able to see a darker ridge in the distance. Start running towards the left edge of it. After you reach it, continue following it down until the ridge comes to a lower point. We can then use that lower point to moon jump on top of it. Follow the ridge all the way along. The horse's lightning attacks can still hit you, but it's significantly safer going this way than the normal way. You'll eventually make it all the way to the boss arena. At that point, you'll want to walk up the hill, then over to here. From there, you can inch forward to touch the boss fight trigger. The tigers will become active, but won't know what to do, so you're completely safe. Use your bow, and enjoy the free victory. And with that, we've successfully cheesed 35 of the game's 41 bosses on current patch Scholar. I hope you found this video helpful or entertaining, and let me know if there's anything I missed. I will see you guys in another video.